Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, including Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Star Wars Rebels, Moonbeam City, Ruby, and Adventure Time. I'm Dylan
It just gets
Hysen.
longer.
It's longer, yeah. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hello.
Today, Delaney and I will be discussing the latest episode of Moonbeam City CopCon.
It's been like a month.
Yeah, thanks to props to Comedy Central for saying there'd be a new episode last week and then not showing a new episode. So we really appreciated that. We can
Awesome.
do the scheduling stupidity was not limited to Nick, Cartoon Network,
No.
and Disney. It is extended to Comedy Central. So,
All channels.
so just
Everyone
notice
sucks.
in advance, Comedy Central. Give us more than like 3 days heads up that there's not going to be no
Please.
episode.
Was it even
was-
3 days? It was literally Wednesday. We were like, oh, no new episode.
No, it was pretty rough.
So dumb.
Apparently, they said in the preview next week it's new, so I'm going to assume that is true.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it might not be true. So next week new, then a week off, then the finale. I don't know. We'll see.
What?
It's 9 episodes. I don't know if we have more than that or not.
I thought you were getting 10.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, today we'll be talking about CopCon. As always with our Moonbeam City podcast, they may not be suitable for younger audiences, much like the show we are discussing. And you can find out more about our podcast, where the rest of the ones we do are all ages appropriate, at overlyanimated.com. Let's get right into CopCon. What is this? The 7th episode of Moonbeam City. It's going by pretty fast. Delaney, what did you think of this episode?
This episode was cracking me up the whole time. Like, it was great. I'm a little sad. My ship just sailed off into the distance.
Blown to pieces today. No,
like,
out of nowhere, we get Chrysalis and or we get Pizzazz and Dazzle.
I wasn't like surprised. I was just like hurt because
I feel like that's the headline. It's like previously the show had been like anti. Like hyping that the parent you'd at least most expect, but
I don't even.
Now it's in full force.
But it's also kind of funny at the same time because like apparently it only happens at CopCon.
Yeah,
and then which is that's funny. Like that's pretty entertaining. And then poor Chrysalis and her fanboy. Oh my god. Her like serial killer fanboy.
Poor fanboy who has a condition where he hears yes as no as yes. Yeah.
Also known as the entire male population.
Also known as a commentary on gender roles in America. Yes.
Yeah. And then the best part of the episode were the gangs. That is the best part of the episode. It's so good.
This episode was making a lot of social commentaries.
This entire episode was just social commentary. It was amazing. And then Rad, as usual, was just great.
I don't know, but I might disagree with that one. But yes, continue.
I mean, there just wasn't as much Rad, but I was okay that we sacrificed some Rad to have the really brilliant gang, like subplot.
That I do agree with. I think it was a good choice to like minimize Rad to focus on this gang subplot. But I do think the Rad we got was some of the weaker. We're used to pretty brilliant Rad stuff, and this was kind of a little bit basic.
No, it was but I don't know. I think the best part with Rad though was, oh, why do they get to jump on the bed?
Yeah, that was the best part of Rad.
I actually laughed out loud. It's like, you're so dumb.
And, so overall, you're positive on this.
Yeah, I really liked the episode. And like we said, it was literally the entire episode was social commentary, which and it was very obviously social commentary, which I don't think we've had yet in the show, really. Like, there's been some negatives with the show. Of course, like, it's satire, parody, like, how are we gonna, it's really hard to gauge these things, but this is, like, so much social commentary, it was almost ridiculous, and it was great.
Yeah, this was the clearest the show had been in taking moral stances on things. However, with this type of show, you can always say, oh, is it really taking the stance, or is it just parodying like the police brutality thing, so, but it seemed kind of clear what they were going for. I think this was a good episode. It wasn't the strongest of the show, I think.
What did I say last time? Is it was like my fave episode ever, so this one doesn't beat that, but it was still a great episode.
Yeah, I think last week's might have been one of the best of the show, and this week I don't think is that good. I applaud the show for continuing the trend. I mean, the episodes are airing out of order, so it's not really a trend. But this is another episode which doesn't fall into the main trap that this show does of just going absurd thing at times 10 instead of sticking with like absurd thing times 5, like staying within the realms of us keeping up with the plot. Like I think this episode was focused, and it like and if you do that you can achieve kind of actual commentary in your
It was almost
satire.
slow.
It was a little slow, yeah.
Which wasn't a problem, which I think honestly if like the rest of the show wasn't on crack the whole time, like this would be like a normal pacing, but I was like this episode is like taking forever. Which was fine. It wasn't a problem. It's just because for once the pacing like was fine. Like it wasn't like all over the place like it usually is.
Yeah. I think if anything, it was slow. I agree. There's elements of the show or this episode that I really liked. Everything with the robot and Terabot
the robot
was incredible, and
it's really good.
The gang stuff was incredible. There's one more thing which I really liked. I'll remember, I guess, as we go on. I think the rad stuff was weak. I'm not sold on what they did with Dazzle and Pizzazz. I think that it's.
I mean, my shipper heart says thumbs down.
I mean, regardless of caring about them as a couple, I think that they like you run by doing this, you run the risk of throwing away the kind of brilliant parody you've done before of their fake sexual tension. Like this goes back. It's this runs the risk of contradicting the brilliance in episode 1 of the introductory scene of Pizzazz and the fake sexual tension.
It's hard to talk about it though because these episodes are not airing in order of production.
So supposedly this was the 6th episode produced, so it's around the same. It's around when it should have aired.
So
I understand what they're going for. It's like a one time a year they actually give into their fake,
which is funny. That's a parody of something in of itself.
Yeah, I think it's a funny concept. I don't know if it was the funniest thing executed.
Oh no. Well, it got to the point where it was like, okay, this is happening literally every 30 seconds. So like it was funny like the first like 3. It was just funny other people's comments about it.
Yeah.
And they kept saying shame.
Yeah, the shame thing. Yeah, I don't know if that landed as well as they intended.
Well, again, it continues to like it. I think that entire part was just like it happened so many times. It was like this isn't funny. Can we just move on? Like it's like when you repeat the same joke 4 times. It's like I'm done. Like it was maybe funny the first time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I remembered my favorite element of the episode was Rick. And
Rick is so good.
This is like in an episode of this is an episode where most of the time I'm like, this is okay. The Rick gag in the beginning and then bringing it back at the end, I think was truly brilliant.
So great.
Am
I Rick?
Are you Rick?
Am I Rick?
Why would you be Rick?
Well, forensics. Like, am I Rick or am I Chrysalis? We had this discussion before.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know Rick was a guy before.
This is true.
Let's start there. I think when recapping specific parts of the episode, I just want to read the Rick lines because I really loved it. We talked before about how this show has a mixed record on self-referential commentary. I think I've complained about it before, and it's not working. Like the show sometimes does self-referential things, and it's if it's within the context of kind of a blah episode, it maybe doesn't land, but maybe it's too blatant, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This I think was really incredibly handled. Like at first it was
like a Rick and Morty thing.
It was like a Rick and Morty thing. What's so brilliant about this is at first when they do the Rick gag, I'm like, okay, this is funny in concept. I'm a little skeptical of them being this self-referential. Yeah. But then they totally throw it in my face at the end by bringing it back. Like
so good.
Like it turns out that's what they were going for. Like they were.
It's great.
It's really great, and I didn't really expect it at all. Even though I guess
I know. I mean, there was absolutely no way to expect it. It was great.
Yeah. So okay, let's go over this thing. So Dazzle's okay, it's the old gang. We're the 3 people in the office whose adventures stand out the most on a regular basis. And Crystal's like, but I talked to Rick in forensics way more than either of you. I love that.
So good.
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
No, the really funny part is like, what kind of name is Rick?
Yeah, there's two elements to this. Yeah, the first element is like the people existing outside of the main cast of the show, which is a great gag, which I think other comedy shows have done before. That kind of commentary. But then they parody the names in the show too, and it's like this
So
guy's just Rick. It's great, and especially they like bring in like 28 new characters this episode, and they all also have absurd names.
stereo. Like they
Yeah.
all have ridiculous names.
Yeah, so I think that really worked, and what's great about this is it just gets funnier as like you don't think about it, but in retrospect, it gets much funnier as the episode goes
It
on.
just progressively gets like hilarious.
And it totally makes sense that Chrysalis would have a forensics person she talks to more
Well,
than
she is forensic, so
because why is she hanging out with freaking Dazzled all the time? You know? Yeah.
I don't even.
He's what kind of name is Rick? He's definitely not in the old gang.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So then okay. I guess that was the initial guy, and then at the end, what do we have here? We have
Like Chrysalis is like looking, and
yeah. Okay. So the killer was Rick from Forensics.
Yeah.
I told you about him the other day. Why would
So-
Rick be the killer? I don't know. Ask her. My reasons were no. He doesn't get to talk to him.
so good.
Yeah, that was so good. I'm in a show where things are kind of generally funny. I don't know. That just super stood out to me so much. It's just a really
It's hilarious. Like it was just so good.
What other stuff do you think stands out from this? Do you want to talk about the robot?
The Interrobot is just so honestly, like I was fine with it. Like it was kind of funny. I kind of laughed at the bribe thing, but honestly, it was the end where he was prom king killed me. I was like, yes.
For me, it was like they initially introduced him as like, okay, this is kind of a tired gag, and it's like they build him up, and then they have the bribe scene, which I thought was really funny. And at Wink, I could find that in the outline. He's like, I'm not programmed to take bribes at Wink. And then there's a bribe slot in his back. It's really
so good.
And then at the end, he's prom king, and then he's Chrysalis is like totally into it too. Yeah.
I have a question. It's so good. And then he kicks.
Yeah.
Skid, is that his name?
Who?
What Chrysalis's boyfriend?
Oh, I don't. I have his name somewhere down here. Yeah. What do you think? Okay, Skit Ryback? Yeah. Okay, what do you think of this Chrysalis fanboy concept?
Well, one, like, I mean, obviously he's creepy, and I was like, I don't like this character, but like his character design was hilarious because like he just progressively had more and more like creepy Chrysalis things that he wore. Like he had a Chrysalis t-shirt.
I like the shirt with her on the front. What was the next one that he had? Oh, and then he just looks like her.
Like then he just dressed like her, and then oh my god, when he was like my fanfic, I was like, I can't.
Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to ask you about this. He has Chrysalis fantasy fanfiction, which it looked like it was like a bondage cover or something like that.
Yes, and he's like, wait, no, you shouldn't read it.
You should read it. My question is, how does this compare to your Chrysalis fantasy fanfiction, Delaney?
I mean, obviously, pizzazz is central
to your fanfiction.
To it. And oh my god, now I'm gonna have to look up and see if there is Moonbeam fanfiction out there yet. This is gonna be and I will report back.
I actually thought of that too. Yeah, I want to see if there's anything out there. Okay, so this character, like, what's his purpose? Is his purpose to parody kind of like male aggression and
like
dominance towards women?
And I think naturally, if you're having like a con, like you have to
have the fanboy character.
You have to have the fanboy character.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then it's even like funnier because it's ironic because he's like, I think he's like cybercrime or like sex crime.
Yeah,
and he's like the creepiest person ever.
I mean, of course, the guy in the sex crime unit is creepy.
Yeah.
Do you think they use the fanboy character to properly parody this type of person at a con?
I mean, see, it's hard because like these people do exist, and that's that's the problem. So like. And it's a tired thing too. Like it's like what I mean, but like I think his design was just like so funny that it was like really like he was well done. It's just like this is a very tired thing to do.
So it's a parody or like a tired concept or.
It's a tired concept, I'd say, but in this case, his appearance, like the t-shirt, and like that was funny. So like they had like a good gag in there, but like it's a tired concept. Like, I mean, I don't think the episode would have been fine without him. Like he didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I looking back on it, I appreciate what they're doing because a lot of times when you've these cons, I mean, this is very general commentary. There's like worshiping of the nerdy guys who go there, and in reality, a lot of them are like sexist assholes, right?
Yes.
But however, I think that his character doesn't necessarily land in this episode. Maybe because I didn't view what was happening as like a Comic Con the entire time.
Well, that's the thing is that we had two presentations, and I think the juxtaposition was done well because you had Dazzles, and of course Dazzles was like packed, and everyone loved Dazzles, and then there were three people in Chrysalis's. So I think like I think there was a good attempt. It just didn't like hit everywhere it was supposed to hit.
Okay, so maybe specifically for his thing, it didn't seem like a Comic Con. Also, I more generally mean let's talk about the general con concepts throughout.
Yeah,
because I guess my general commentary would be at first this is like okay, this is like a convention, like the typical thing, like a Comic Con, and then after the initial concept, it almost doesn't seem like it ever to me. And especially at the end when they're just talking about prom, like it turns into high school. I don't even know what's going on in this concept.
I think they were making like the first thing I thought of was like Tumblr prom, which was like that horrible thing that like
I don't. Okay, we don't need to get into Tumblr prom. I don't know if that's what they're doing though.
But I'm talking about that was the first thing I thought of. But like, I mean, that's the weird thing though is that like this is a mix of like Comic Con and then like for example the conference I went to that was kind of like TED Talks. Now mine didn't have a dance, but a lot of conferences like that actually do have a dance. Like especially if it's like typically like high schoolers or early college, like you'll have like some sort of event like that. So I don't think it was completely out of place. It was just maybe weird because like if you're not familiar with things like that, because like you have a lot of conferences like that, there actually is like some sort of social gathering like that in the middle of it.
I'm like just not sure if they successfully maybe it's that I'm just not as familiar with it.
It's it's kind of a weird thing. Like I don't know, like I have personal experience with going to things like this where you go to something like this and there's a dance. Like it's just like how it works.
The big question is like, is this a framing device or is this a parody element? Like I think most of the time it's just a framing device though.
Yeah.
So when we have this parody character aspect, maybe it doesn't land within because I forgot the framing device.
We didn't even parody prom anyway. Like there just was a thing.
The only parodying of prom was like the typical of course we're gonna be prom king and queen.
Yeah, that was
it was pretty funny having Pizzazz as one of the people who's saying that.
Yeah, it was great.
But I don't know. It just the glue keeping the episode together felt, I guess, it felt off or didn't exist at times for me.
But at least they mentioned prom before that. Like it was built up, I guess.
They did try to build it up. Yeah. One thing that whenever the show stops and focuses on one gag for like a long period of time, it stands out to me. So the food pun menu.
It's so good. I forgot to mention that's like
they
that's
spent like
the best thing out of the episode.
I think they might have genuinely spent 2 minutes of the entire episode on it, which is that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a ton of time. Usually jokes take 5 seconds in the show.
Then they kept coming back to it. Like every time they were in the diner, this happened. It was great.
For me, it didn't land until like I honestly didn't like it. Like they kept going back at first, but then they went back to it, and it's like we're out of food, and but you got to admit the menu's pretty funny. So that part I liked.
No, like for me, it was
defend the puns though.
Okay, well, like one as I do hate puns. This is a well-known fact about me. I hate puns, but like just like. One, it was so like we get to this scene and it's like, what are they doing? Okay, they're getting like I'm not even like I'm paying attention, but I'm not paying attention. Like you know how like you're in the middle of watching something, you kind of like, okay, like I've seen this before, whatever. They're in a diner, and then she starts talking, and then I'm like, what is she saying? And then I actually start to listen, and then like her outfit, like she has handcuff earrings, and like. It's just all of it was just the entire execution was flawless. It was so good, and then of course it's really funny because like I think the funniest pun is like the BLT pun because then it's just like BLT for cops. Like
that one I liked. Yeah,
so good. And then like it's like the problem with it I think is it starts off too quickly because like you have to.
It does take you a little bit to
like it takes a little bit to realize what they're saying. And I don't think it's the voice actress's fault I don't think there's any like voice acting fault. It's just it happens so quickly. It takes you a minute to like you have to comprehend that they're not saying what you think they're saying. And like it's pretty great though. Like I appreciate that there's just like a bajillion puns. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's the overall effect, not necessarily the individual puns. Like it's just like
Yeah.
the entirety of it. It's
Yeah,
great.
definitely. Yeah. I think it went on too long. My
No,
opinion.
it cracked me up. Like I was just like, "This is great. I want to hear all of them." And then it was just so funny because like because then Dazzle was like, "Can you read off the entire menu?" Well, no, he said something. He was like, "Can you read off the rest of the menu of menu items you haven't mentioned yet?"
Yeah. You haven't mentioned
So
yet.
good. It's great.
One thing that I just remembered that we hadn't mentioned at all about this episode, which is kind of a crucial thing, is that there's two like long musical numbers.
Just why? I don't even. It was great.
And there's an article on EW this week about the Moonbeam City soundtrack that's coming out, which I think features the tracks of this episode. So check that on Entertainment Weekly. Everything by Nightclub, the band that does the music for the show, and shout out to Nightclub because their Twitter account favorited our tweet of last week's podcast. Ooh. So I think their Twitter account was searching for Moonbeam City and they found our tweet.
There we go.
So shout out to Nightclub. Music on the show is
our corner. We have
our little. I mean, there's got to be like two. I don't know if there's any other Moonbeam City podcast.
We'll have to find.
We could. I honestly haven't even checked. As good as the songs were, I'm not sure what.
I'm just stunned as to why Dazzle is in a country band. Like I was like, okay, he's in a band, and then it starts, and I'm like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it's definitely stands out. I'm not sure in a good way.
I was like, am I watching Walk the Line now? Is that just what happened?
What was the second? What was the second one?
The second song?
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely a second song, and I'm just
It was the gang members singing.
Oh, the gang members sang. Yeah, they sang their "Leaving the H" song. What did you think of that one?
I thought it was great. Well, it took me like okay, they start singing, and I'm like, what? Okay, I'm still not 100% sure about the song. Like, I don't really understand. Like, I understand the meaning of the song, but then I don't. If that means like, I need to hear it again because like it took me.
I don't know what the H is for.
I know thank you.
I don't think it was. I think that's the joke. Like but you could be missing something too. Yeah, I don't know.
That's okay. Thank you, because I was just like I don't understand the H.
I don't think it was supposed to be for anything.
Okay, because I was just like, what? There's like
it's either parodying some old song or it's just supposed to be like dumb. I don't know.
Well, whatever it was lost on me.
I think this one was more successful than the Dazzle one. This one had a function within the parody that they were trying for, and
again, that is like the best part of the episode is that subplot.
Yeah, and I really like that. Good. But the Dazzle one, I just don't know why it was there.
I don't.
The only payoff was Pizzazz at the end saying, "No, I was going to say that your band sucks. You need to keep your garbage guitar playing to yourself." That was like the only payoff, though. So I don't know why we needed a solid 2-minute song.
Well, and everyone's faces, like,
I guess,
and then Pizzazz was like, "Never again."
It was great. Do I have the band name here?
It's like Buster Brown and
so absurd.
I was just
Buster
so
Brown's
stunned.
Midnight Moonshine and the Texas Hold'em, I think, boys.
Yeah. You know, it came up and I was like, what?
If it really was Texas Hold'em in their band name, which I think it was, then the poker thing.
Was it a really vague, misplaced joke about "Oh brother, where art thou"? Like I don't understand like why it was a country band. I don't like.
I will say as a big poker player, I appreciated what I'm doing is known in poker as lying.
I really like
it. Pretty nice poker joke, yeah. So I guess we had the music parts, and I liked okay, let's talk, I guess, in more depth. There's not much to it. The gang scenes. It's
so good.
So the way I want to read this is as kind of like a harsh commentary on police brutality, and I think that's kind of what it is. So it's very much
100% what it is.
But I mean, the big question is: Are we commentating that? I mean, obviously, the show is not actually arguing anything, but are we? No. If it's arguing something, are we saying that the world that cops do more harm than good, or are we making fun of people who say that? Right.
Right.
It's impossible to tell, but I think it's the first one, if anything.
I think it's the first one.
Yeah. So I appreciated that in the context of the current, social climate.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, it just makes total sense in the show. We never see the cops in the show doing any good.
No, never. Hello, our main character is like the
most
worst
inept cop. Yeah.
He gave a presentation on how he keeps what he confiscates.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
which his
Dazzle's panel.
presentation, also his presentation was amazing.
How do I get by on a measly commissary? I keep what I confiscate.
It's so good. Like, that was so good.
No, I didn't confiscate her from a crime scene. Just kidding, I did. That was good.
So good.
And then Chrysalis's, you see the causes of thing using hours of accept. What was she? What causes of what? What was her?
It was like the causes of violence, I think, or crime. Like, that's
hours
what it was.
Of exciting graphs. Why does Chrysalis get a panel and Rad does not get a panel?
No, my favorite is we're like, some cops couldn't get presentations this year, and we decided you were the one cop who
you were the one cop who wouldn't. Yeah, that was
like,
good.
I died. So good.
At the beginning, we didn't talk about at the beginning Pizzazz meeting with the gangs to get them not to
Oh my
do
god,
anything.
no, I was about to bring that up when we were talking about it a minute ago. Like, the weekly gang meeting.
Yeah.
No,
we met our quarterly stabbing goals, yeah.
Also, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's really okay that I laughed, but every time he'd go like, "Bitch, I mean, ma'am."
Is this
so funny, but it was like, to me it was hilarious.
Is this a commentary on the disrespectful language towards women? I don't know. The show doesn't make commentary.
I don't know.
It just does things. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I thought it was funny. Like, bitch, I mean, ma'am. Like,
I mean, I'm super anti saying bitch and anything.
Well, I'm about reclaiming the word. So obviously, in this instance, it's not reclamation, but I am for the reclamation of the word bitch.
And here, I guess we're parodying the usage of it. So, but it was kind of funny. Like, yeah,
it was funny. I thought it was
the Uncle Carlo recurring gag was good, and then he dies at the end. So,
so like what?
He's Uncle Carlo. We'll
I really like all in favor of not doing any crime until Monday, and then like the one guy's like, "Nah," and then he shoots him, and we're like, unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous.
So good.
That was pretty good. Yeah. What else didn't we talk about here?
They drove, like, he got a rental car. Everyone got onto the drunk bus and like traveled 20 feet.
Yeah, 20 feet to the panel. There's we briefly mentioned the this is the sound the bed makes.
No, we have to talk about, we're missing the best Rad joke. Or Rad's talking about the leather suitcases, and he's like, "My something of my taint," and I like cried.
Oh, okay. Let me find the line. Yeah, I'll look for that. One thing, another recurring gag was the softest core porn, which I really liked, like parodying really hotel porn. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Very good. Vex Mullery was back for this episode, so that's good.
Yes.
The initial Pizzazz and Dazzle. I'm reading off the show notes, by the way. The initial Pizzazz and Dazzle, 2.25 minutes. We needed some way to distract ourselves for that modest runtime. Yeah. What do you think of the stereo? We didn't even mention stereo compare. It's
Okay, it took me a while to understand why they kept calling him a whistleblower. Like, snitches get stitches. And I was like, what? I don't understand why this is like... And then, like, I know they kept showing it, but I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to realize that, like...
His panel was 700 corrupt cops, yeah.
I know, like, I wasn't even paying attention. No, I guess I just kept saying 700, and I just wasn't paying enough attention to, like, get that's what was going on.
No, I've noticed that before. Sometimes the show just has something... something in the background, and you just can't notice it because it's moving fast elsewhere.
Yeah, like, I was like... I didn't get there until finally, like...
Also, you expect it to not be straightforward, and this was just always... Yeah.
And, like, right before, and then, like, he spoke for, like, "I'm starting with the A's, the dead." Immediately.
With the A's.
The A's. It's pretty good. I like that it was an alphabetical list.
How does he know the 700 corrupt cops? I don't know.
Oh, then Dazzle going, "He told me everything before he died."
Yeah.
And then Chris is like, "How are we going to protect you from the assassin?" I haven't thought of that yet.
What do you think of the dire realizer?
Okay, like, at first I was like, this is dumb. But then when I saw I was about to get pulled out on Rad, I was like, yes, this is the payoff I've been waiting for.
I think it was just dumb the whole time. But we've had Rad...
I don't know, like, again, the character designs are like, I'm just obsessed with the show and, like, how it looks. And I enjoyed, like, the way, like, how it works, like, visually. Like, it's really funny.
Yeah.
That for me, that it entertains me. Like, the idea of the guns, whatever, but like visually, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Dazzle too.
Really read it, like when they had the letters. When they had the letters of it, like I was like, it took me a really long time to read it.
No, it doesn't make a word. That's it.
It's like what?
Yeah. Pizzazz to Dazzle. I'm attracted to his moral fiber and self-control, of which you have none. There you go.
So good.
The gentlest foreplay is waiting for you. The back to the hotel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the tan line.
Like, it's the best line.
We're getting there. You talked about the the moonshine, and yeah. No, I'm gonna start with A. Yeah.
So good.
Do not lie to Interrobot. Interrobot is programmed to never accept Brab's wink.
Wink.
Do.
It was literally like one of the first lines of the episode.
Oh, it was? I missed it. Well,
yes, it was. They were in the car, and he used the suitcases, and like, cause she's like, rats. Crystal's like, rat smells funny, and then he was like, I'm like surrounded by leather suitcases, and it irritates my whatever of my taint, and I like cried.
Okay, the hyperhidrosis of the taint. There you go.
So good.
Okay, I don't know what that means. I'm glad we found. So I'm glad we made the effort to find that line. I found it
because it's quality.
Okay.
So good.
Lines at the end. Yeah, Chrysalis and Interrobot. I have a question. May I have this dance? Yeah.
It was pretty good. Smooth. Terrabot smooth.
Smooth. Yep. There you go. Okay. So I guess overall, I feel like the two musical numbers plus the pizzazz and dazzle elements, plus the unsuccessful con framing, to me at least, plus the pun thing, which I didn't love. It was I feel like only half the episode landed, although we spent like a solid 20 minutes talking about all the stuff that landed. So I still do think it's a good episode. I think it was funny. It was consistently funny, I think, throughout the entire episode. I think the show can do better, but it doesn't. Oh no, it can do. Last episode was amazing. That episode will I don't know if we'll be able to top that episode. That episode was just so good. This episode was good, and it was funny. I was also looking forward to this episode because I was like, oh god. Well, I was really excited for the gang subplot, which it delivered. That was quality. It was great quality, yeah. And then I don't know about next week's though. The preview has me. I'm not too interested. Obviously, we're gonna watch it. But stunt extravaganza. Dazzle and his stuntman father Razzle reconnect. Razzle. Rad loses his parking ticket and gets trapped. Razzle dazzle. Are you kidding me right now? I'm so upset. I'm so upset. At first, I was gonna make a comment about oh my god, are they candy? But then I said it, and I was like, no. Wait. Yeah. Oh man. Rad loses his parking ticket. If they say that, and if they say give him the old razzle dazzle, I'm going to scream. I anticipate the scream. Parking ticket and gets trapped in the PD garage system by the screw suit. What did I comment on the next time? This is not part of the show. What an odd line to be part of the show. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So and the cops all stormed out and blew up. It was a church, right? I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they blew up a church. Yeah. It was the end of the end was pretty good. Okay. Last comments on CopCon. It was funny. I enjoyed it. Yes. It was a thing. It happened. Still enjoying the show, and I hope there are more than 9 episodes, but we'll see. I'm Dylan Hysen, that's Delaney Stovall. You can find out everything about us at overlyanimated.com. We cover Moonbeam City every week. Next podcast. When it airs, if Comedy Central allows it there. Next, you can take a week off, but just don't randomly decide to do it. Okay. Next podcast on Sunday, I think, is Ruby. And then we have, I guess, not until next Wednesday again for all of next week is Adventure Time miniseries, so that's constant podcast. Okay, have fun with that. A lot of me and Sam time. They're airing 8 episodes in 4 days, so it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be it was Steven Universe when it's Steven Baum. Yeah, it's Steven Baum except doubled per day. Yeah. But without Friday for some reason. I already said I'm done. Okay, you can support us you can support the podcast at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, and Jamie, aka Hannah, Fever, Mitch, Cordell University, Beatrix Strange, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman. Yep, that's all I got. Shayna and I get to cry about Chrysalis and Pizzazz. There was no Chrysalis and Pizzazz moment of the week. It was the most anti. It's unfortunate. We'll see. We'll continue into this. I still have faith. I will I will continue to scour the ocean in my submarine. In your submarine. To recover the wreckage. In your dolphin submarine. Yeah, in my dolphin. No, it's an orca. I'm gonna have rads. You're never ads, okay.
I'll be the market.
I've jumped ship. I now ship Chris Listen and Terabot. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's a really good. That's a good alternative. I can't. That might be what I have to switch to. But...
I've already started writing my fan fiction for it. Don't worry.
Good.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.